Okay. So last night, everybody was having a fit about Damon Lindelof and uh, that Chinoy bitch making a Star Wars movie for after the sequels, basically trying to validate the three worst movies ever made. And the Hollywood Reporter did a big spread on it. Inside the inner workings of this, because when you got a bunch of woke reporters, sorry, I'm doing the same thing that whatchamacallit was in the video. Everybody thinks she had something wrong with her, and really it was just a fake. Good morning, GM. It was just fake eyelashes. Hey, Cross Element. So just get ready, because I'm gonna rant. Because everybody was screaming about this and that. No, they're gonna make this movie and typical black pills. It's told by an old friend that she's never leaving. Really? Mind explaining that to people like Matt Bellany and Cameron Pasha? Okay, people who are actually in the business, who didn't leave like and run away like chickens with their heads cut off. If you, first off, I'm gonna say this because I've said this before. There are new people here. I'm gonna explain. I used to work back in the day, a long time ago, 20 years ago now, for the House Majority Leader, Richard K. Army, 26th District, Texas, Republican leader, the House. And if I was to go back to Washington, 5 years after my job was over, I would not have the network I used to. Okay, I would not have the institutional knowledge I used to. The people change. And when people change, chemistry changes and the institutional knowledge kind of morphs into whatever they're doing. Okay, so if you've been out of Hollywood for longer than 5 years, you probably don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Okay, you might know some of the players, you might remember things from way back when, but the only thing I can say about DC is that Nancy Pelosi is still the biggest bitch I've ever met in my life. I have yet to meet Hillary. I hope I never do, because that might actually go to her, but I had to keep it in my own experience who I've actually met. Anyway, good morning. So when people say she's never leaving, and then you realize they've not actually set foot on an industry lot in decades, it's like, ugh. Or they think they know how things are working now. Things have changed since 5 years ago. Okay, 2018, all right? That was peak Kathy, that was peak wokeness. Are we into the final now? Okay. Things we need to talk about, things we need to understand. I am very, very, very upset right now with a lot of things. First off, if you're assuming that this movie, Lindelof, Chinoy, and whoever the writer was, I didn't even feel like reading the story and Hollywood Reporter because it was so freaking stupid to even give them the time of day for this. You want me to read this shit? Be serious. This is unserious media, okay? Unserious reporting. It's not reporting, it's PR farting in your faces. Okay, that's what it is. But there are people out there that actually think this is gonna happen. Then you go to Cameron, no. You go to Matt Bellany going, what the fuck are they doing? Why does Matt Bellany say that? Because he heard from inside Lucasfilm and Disney that Kennedy has been told she does not have permission anymore to talk about any new projects coming up for Star Wars because they never happen. They never happen. Okay? And it's very interesting to me that people don't know this. Or here's the deal, if you're not up on the latest news and you're throwing your opinion out there, don't say anything. Hey Max, hey Mike, how you doing? Just don't, because you're pissing me off. If she was told by Bob Chapek and the powers that be at Disney to shut the fuck up, that should be a bell ringing in everybody's ears that something is going on with her. But no, she's never going anywhere. This is why I get frustrated. But we'll get into the main part of the rant in a bit. So we have Lindelof doing, I mean, to me, this just looks like fan baiting. This just looks like this idea for this movie with a woman of color and a feminist activist being the director looks like fucking fan baiting. Okay, that's what it looks like to me. Now, I might be wrong, but Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant's been doing that. She's hiding behind a BIPOC girl, a black woman, and a Korean dude. Okay, and a Latino dude. Okay, this, I mean, and now we've got Damon Lindelof hiding behind a Pakistani feminist activist who, won an Oscar for a documentary. Who fucking cares? Look, if someone says to me, well, they won an Oscar, I'd be like, gives a fuck. I mean, 90% of the people that do the presenting at the Oscars are people I don't even know anyway. His NFL, so they don't fucking matter. It's irrelevant. But let's get into the rant. I'm going to preface this with two things, two items. President of the United States is obviously going senile. He's either got Alzheimer's or dementia. Okay. The person who's running the show is Jill Biden. She was bent on being first lady, and by fucking God, she's going to be first lady. Okay. This is what I call spousal abuse. Now, let's go to the Senate campaign for Pennsylvania. Mehmet Oz. All right, Mike, yay. You know what? It'd be really funny is to do a parody of this announcement. God, if I knew someone with that, some really good cinematic stuff, we could actually do it. It would be really fucking funny. The wife of John Fetterman had a very severe stroke as the primaries were happening. And he has not recovered as well as they'd like to say. He can barely stand up for 10 minutes. He has a hard time cognitively and hard time understanding what people are saying to him. His wife, who looks like Morticia Adams, is basically running the show. Neither of these people are doing their husbands a favor. Honey, this isn't good for you. You should be relaxing. You need to rest. No, instead they're driving their husbands off the fucking cliff. Now, my next thing is going to be analogous to it, but not exactly like it. Kathy Kennedy obviously is not suffering from dementia. She suffers from narcissism. She suffers from the fact that she lives in an echo chamber where everybody closest to her reflects who she thinks she is and not who she is. Long time. Kathy Kennedy has been the empress who has no clothes. No one's told her. She's running around, flaunting herself. Nobody's actually sat down and talked to her. When I look at this, I look at her husband, and I look at the people around her who love her, her daughters, her sister, etc. I look at this and I go, no one has had a heart-to-heart conversation. Now, maybe during the trip to, let's see, where did they go? Portugal, Ibiza, Spain, Mallorca, back to Spain, to Provence to try out the new rosés, to London, and then to Cornwall, hike around Cornwall. They were gone for 40 days. Christ wandered in the desert for 40 days. Noah's Ark floated around in the water for 40 days. I think, what did Moses go up the mountain for 40 days and come down with the 10 Commandments? Or something? I gotta look. I mean, I'm not as well up on that as I used to be. She's gone for 40 days. People like her don't take trips like that for 40 days. Ever. Ever. So don't tell me there's not something going on. She's there forever. All right. You're ignoring the facts. We have people on our side that ignore the facts who need confirmation bias. Nothing good ever happens. Nothing ever changes for the better. Ugh. I hate that shit. And I'll tell you something else. I don't really think so, GM. I thought that, but I don't think so. There's a bad problem within the conservative community, and I'm going to chastise you too. You people are too fucking negative. Okay. Donald Trump isn't a negative person. Ronald Reagan isn't a negative person. Wasn't. Where the fuck are you then? All right? Andrew Breitbart wasn't a negative person. So fucking quit it. Look at the reality of what's going on around you. They're going to steal the election. You got to be close for that. It's got to be close for them to steal it. And they may get one or two. But they're not going to get over 500. Okay? You got it. I mean, look, it was obvious what they did to Trump. How fucking more obvious could it be if they tried 25 House seats? Okay, stop it. All right? 1. She's never leaving. Let's look at the facts. And then we'll get to my analogy to Jill Biden and what's-her-face, Morticia Fetterman. She's been there. It's going to be 10 years in a week. Less than a week. All right? The first movie that came out under her tenure made $200.06 billion or something, like some amazing feat. That's the gross box office. Disney took home $700 million. But the investment was supposed to launch Galaxy's Edge. Kennedy, according to a former vice president of Imagineering, walked into fucking Iger's office and said, "We have more movies ahead of us than behind us, so we should make the parks all about the prequel trilogy." All right. Just go with the flow. You really haven't. I'm ranting. First big mistake. Second big mistake. Iger saying, "You did so well with The Force Awakens, killing off Han Solo like Palpatine and making Luke this irrelevant monk on an island. Why don't you have this child named Rian Johnson, who's got nothing but art movies and TV shows under his belt, direct a $225 million movie?" The most important movie in the trilogy. Okay, the middle movie is always the most important. Always. George Lucas taught us that. Gives it to Rian Johnson, one draft. They film it, and the fans go, "What the fuck?" That movie was supposed to make, what, $2.5 billion? It made 1.3. It made over $1 billion less than it was supposed to be. And it made almost $1 billion less than The Force Awakens. Now you see where the problems start. She was the one that made it. She was the one that was happy with it. She was the one that let Ryan Johnson look right at Mark Hamill and say, we're going to make a movie we want. What the fuck? Okay, you're not, look, we're not making an art house flick, you faggot. Okay, we're making a fucking Star Wars movie. Keep your weird little, multi-rays and all the rest of that shit out of Star Wars. Guy didn't know anything about the lore. It was, look, in my opinion, when I look at his behavior and Lucasfilm's behavior on the lead up to TLJ and after, TLJ was nothing but a fuck you to the fans and a fuck you to George Lucas. Ryan Johnson, to this day, still thinks he's a better filmmaker than George Lucas. OGM, she was on the set. You know perfectly well, Mark, and probably Carrie said no one's going to like this movie. And she didn't care. All right. Then the backlash really began in earnest because it began after TFA. And then it began in earnest with the bad behavior leading up and then after TLJ. Solo, a Star Wars story. Now, some people say it was a movie no one wanted. That's their opinion. I wanted a good one. Han Solo is my favorite character. Movie character, period. They hire a writer through nepotism. Larry Kasdan's semi-retarded son, and as Ethan Van Sciver liked to describe him, sexual adventurer. They hired, again through nepotism, because Steven Spielberg is the friend and client of Alden Ehrenreich's accountant father. They hire a completely wrong person to play Han Solo. Wrong. Okay. Then they cuck Han Solo in the script for Queera, the skinny, scrawny, ratty girl, British mousy girl, who got famous because she ran around naked in Game of Thrones and I think fucked her brother or a cousin or just something disgusting. I'm like, the movie was a bad movie to begin with. Ron Howard's brought in after and two incompetent live action directors are fired. Lord and Miller. They were the wrong people. Now, if you're somebody like a couple of friends of mine going, I would like to see that cut. I don't want to see that cut. Why? Because it's worse than what we got. Okay? Look, you can't put lipstick on a pig and call it beautiful. Okay? Ron Howard tried that and it did not work. It didn't. They spent $225 million on the outset. That was the budget. Then 80%, they say, reshoots. Okay? That's probably almost $500 million shooting this fucking movie. You add the marketing, which back then was about half of what the budget was to make the movie. Put that all together. You honestly think that movie fucking made any money when you look at gross box office? The word on the street from the people who know is it lost $225 or $250 million. Maybe $100 million less, maybe more. All right? Because we don't know what the real final figures are for how much it cost to make and market that atrocious abomination. Okay? And yeah, we still have people going, well, it was a pretty good movie. I like shit too. Don't talk to me. And then the race was on. Let's go back through what we remember. Rumors were Bob Chapek was sick of Kathy, was looking for a replacement. Christopher Nolan, of all people, said no. Okay. No one was going to take her job in the middle of this dumpster fire trilogy. Translated, Hollywood knew she was fucked. She fucked everything up. And no one wanted to be part of it. They call in JJ. JJ goes and talks to George. This is all true. George comes in and helps him. Rumors were he was actually writing part of the script. Rumors were, and I think they were true, Matt Smith was supposed to be in it. Matt Smith, according to rumors, was supposed to play the son of Mortis, the bad guy. Okay? And it made sense when you think about what they were doing. Of course, George being involved. It should make sense, don't you think? They watch a rough cut, and Iger, Alan Horn, and Kathy Kennedy almost basically shit their pants. No Raylo. You know, here's what happens when you have a bunch of semi-retarded, almost useless parasite executives wandering around trying to tell people who actually make movies and are creatives how to tell a story. Well, marketing says Raylo is really popular. Why is it in there? Because it's abusive, because the fans don't want it. Well, Twitter says they do. All those people who are freaking out about Raylo and Adam Driver came from Tumblr. Okay, came from fucking Tumblr. All right, now, if they really wanted to save the sequel trilogy for me, and I would have been semi-satisfied, Ray is Han and Leia's kidnapped daughter. Whoever kidnapped her dropped her off on Jakku. Because, let's go back to TFA. Kyle Ron says, it is you. How would he know who she was if she was a fucking nobody? Okay? I'm not even going to get into the Colin Trevorrow script because that was just as bad. There was no Skywalker in it. None. Okay, none. But this is what happens when you let nihilists go near something that a true genius creates. They dump fucking tomato soup on it. Hey, Joe. How you doing? Anyway. So they put a Raylo kiss in it, and then Kyle Ron croaks. And everybody starts laughing hysterically. I mean, the video of the Raylos screaming, Ben, Ben. I'm on the floor, rolling around laughing my ass off. Okay? It was that funny. All right. So, we get to After Tross. Bob Iger and both Kennedy both said, no more movies for at least 3 years. Okay? Mandalorian Season 2 comes out. Luke Skywalker returns. And it was the most triumphant thing ever on streaming, period. And then we have the Gina Carano fiasco. She's supposed to have a TV show centered around her, Rangers of the New Republic. And if there are Gina Carano fans here, it's not against you. I'm speaking as someone who worked professionally in politics. When you're working in a place that opening up your mouth will get you in trouble, but you've got the opportunity for a better job. Your boss and his deputy are counting on you, and you can't help yourself. You gotta open up your fucking mouth all the time, and you're making friends with people you shouldn't. Look, if I got an email and it was from Harrison Ford, I'd be like, look, dude, I'm a YouTuber. You don't want to be friends with me. You don't. Okay? We can't have any contact at all. The reason why is because that would compromise him to everybody. And it would compromise me to everybody because suddenly I'd be growing friends and people that I have no idea who they were wanting to bother me. Okay? Which is exactly what happened, by the way. Gina takes an old meme out there, and I'll give you the, not the actual, I'll paraphrase it. It is a picture of people being arrested, and they were turned into the Gestapo. She used it as an analogy about canceling people. Instant anti-Semite, what they did to her was what they're doing to Kanye West. even though what he did is kind of more like egregious. Okay, but I think they're going overboard, taking away his banking, all of his deals and all that. It's just what the fuck, man. Just let it go. He made an ass of himself. Let the consumers decide. Let the market decide. You fucking nitwits. Anyway, yeah, and GM is right there with Alex Jones. What happened to her was wrong, and it goes to the issue that there's an echo chamber in Hollywood. There's an echo chamber in Hollywood, and if you get out of it, there are protected people in Hollywood. There's a protected group of people in Hollywood, and they kind of run it. They do. And if you say anything to cross them, or they imagine it, because look, right now the average Hollywood stooge isn't more intelligent than my Shiloh Shepherd. All right, they're not that smart. Okay, let's be perfect. Let's be honest here. We're not talking about Albert Einstein here. All right. It is absolutely inconceivable that they would do this to Gina, but she kept flapping her gums for over almost a year. And she finally did the thing to get her canned or get her kicked out of the club. All right. If I had been Disney, I'd have told Kathy, no, you're not going to fire her. Bring her back if she comes back. I'd have gotten on the phone with her representatives and saying, hey, look, if you don't understand what an analogy is and how dangerous the left is getting, all right, there have been a lot of ways to avoid this. Her keeping her mouth shut was the best one. And she didn't. Kennedy took advantage of that, or somebody did. When she hey Polly, when how you doing? When she did what she did and got kicked out of the club, that fucked everything up. That fucked everything up. Here. You never give your enemy any reason. You never help your enemy out of a mistake. Now, you could look at it this way. Gina made a mistake. Kennedy took advantage of it. Or did Kennedy make a mistake by doing what she did to Gina? You know, boom, 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 two opposite women. One actually a fairly decent, strong, independent woman, and the other one a milquetoast to any man above her. Okay? I'll get into that too, by the way. So it ruins partially what John and Dave want to do. Rumor had it, Jon Favreau had a fucking shit fit. Okay. So Rachel of the New Republic gets canned all because Gina Carano can't get along with Pablo Hidalgo. Then it's quiet for a while, and we get the Book of Boba Fett. Received not well. A lot of fans got really mad at each other over it. We've gotten to a point, I think, in the fandom where it hard work. It is and it's not. Okay, stop. Look, go along with what I'm saying. Okay, first off, because now you took me off my subject. All right. Gina had the right to say what she said, but if you look at the Constitution of the United States, it doesn't make it that Disney and Lucasfilm are forced to have her around. They don't have to work with her. It's like telling Catholics that they have to invite Satanists to come worship. Okay, do you think that's actually going to happen? No, it's a right to gather with anybody you want, or the right to hire the people you want, right? And she, she should have kept her goddamn mouth shut. And I would tell that to her fucking face. My loyalty is to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, not her. All right, because their hearts are in the right fucking place. They're the ones that had George Lucas come up and help them. They're the ones that are trying to fix what's broken. All right? All right. And she, by Pablo, Gina. Okay. We'll talk about him too at the end of this. So we get to the book of Boba Fett, and the book, I think, that show divided fans even more. A lot of fans didn't understand what they were watching. They wanted Boba Fett to be the big tough gunfighter. Urgh! You watch too much Marvel. Martin Scorsese's right, by the way. It is not that Boba Fett's a superhero. He is a cloned human being who went through a traumatic experience, being swallowed up by a sarlacc and struggling to get out. That scene when he sticks his hand through the sand, that's rebirth. Okay, maybe that was above some people's heads. I don't know. Being captured by the sand people and tortured and beaten. Go watch a movie called A Man Called Horse, and you'll understand what you just saw. Good movie, by the way. Then we get it where he's accepted by the tribe. Okay. He goes back and basically tells the Pikes to leave him alone, and then discovers that his tribe is wiped out. Whatever, we've all seen that. Yes, and it was a character study. You have to understand that a character is going to change through traumatic experience. So being upset that he wasn't the big tough gunfighter or whatever he thought he was going to be, the superhero, super fat. Go play with your Superman doll, okay? That's not Star Wars, all right? Then we get to Kenobi. I loved it. I did. I thought it was great. And we've got fans attacking the little girl playing Leia and saying, it's just a girl show and blah, blah, blah. She took over from Luke. Let me explain how this is going to work. All right, for you guys. If Ben had gone on a trip across the galaxy with Luke Skywalker, that ruins canon. Okay? Making it Bail Organa's adopted daughter getting kidnapped by basically one of the inquisitors, because, gee, she actually looked into the records. Did the Republic ever keep records? Yes, they did. Okay. Would there actually be HoloNet of Bail Organa greeting Obi-Wan Kenobi? A dinner, Obi-Wan Kenobi is president with Bail Organa. Yes, there might actually be records of them meeting and talking about Clone Wars strategy. Would it make it appear that Organa and Kenobi were friends? Probably. Wow, that breaks canon. No, it doesn't. Go watch Clone Wars again. So, but that was a problem that people had. Okay. The problem I saw them having, the unspoken one, Kathy Kennedy's name, on Boba Fett, along with Michelle Redgewan's. So now we're in the middle of Andor. Kennedy's name, Michelle Redgewan. What's the problem with Andor? Nielsen ratings posted that Andor didn't even make it into the top 10 for the first 3. That's a fail. That's a big L. Just like Boba Fett and just like Kenobi. A big L. Even though parts of Andor are good, even though I think Kenobi is way better. All right. Andor is pretentious. There's some Star Wars in it, but it's very pretentious filmmaking. But when you see what Tony Gilroy says And where it was filmed, it's like it was filmed in England. What did you expect? Okay. And I don't particularly like that brand of filmmaking. It was filmed on location. Yeah, I recognize London. I assume we were supposed to be in Coruscant. You know, what the fuck? All right. That's what a volume and stage gives you. It gives you another worldly experience. Going out to the moors to film Aldhani, I firmly expected William Wallace to come charging up asking them if they needed help. You needed help, Biles. I guess the English were back, you know? What the fuck? That doesn't make it a good story. All right. That doesn't make it a good story. What it makes is boring and relevant, and it's where are the aliens? There should be aliens among the rebels. Okay? The only time the only time we see a few aliens are when we see Mon Mothma. Okay? And again, Stellan Skarsgård chews up the scenery every time he's in the show. Okay? But there you have it. Now we've got David Lindelof, another spawn of Satan, J.J. Abrams, telling the entire planet without Disney's consent, without Lucasfilm's consent, they haven't said a fucking word, that he's making a Star Wars movie after talking about the sequel trilogy after the sequels. Put a 1 in the chat if you actually want this movie. Or put a 0 if you don't. Okay? This show will never be made. Okay? It just won't be. Lindelof knows it. Why is this happening? You got Kathy Kennedy, and I don't doubt it, because Matt Bellany is fucking connected as fuck. Basically saying she was told never to open up her mouth about new Star Wars projects. That should tell you something right here. Where is this all coming from then? Is it Lindelof trying to scam money enough to make this movie? Did Kennedy put him up to it? Did his PR put him up to it? Is this merely fan baiting? Could it be all three? Yeah, it could be all three. Here's where I'm going with all this. I sat there and Frank Marshall posted a picture of himself. He's in Morelia, Mexico right now, film festival down there. Why hasn't he, maybe he has, sat down and talked to Kathy? For the love of all that is holy, you gotta let Lucasfilm go. Okay, this is my rant. She's not happy. She can't be happy. So they're both miserable if she's not happy. My husband's not happy, I'm not happy. Okay? If I'm not happy, he's not happy. That's how this works. So she can't be happy with all this, knowing that Hollywood knows she's a failure, because trust me, after reading Puck and what Matt Bellany said, everybody in Hollywood is saying this behind closed doors. Everybody knows what a fucking incompetent twat she is. Okay? She's not happy. The people working for her can't be happy. Especially now with Rejwan being fired. She didn't step down. She was fucking canned. Just like Carrie Hart. And as Matt Bellany said, more executives are about to go. Okay? We'll have to see. Disney can't be happy. I'm sure Bob Chapek got hold of Kareem Daniels and said, What the fuck? Who is Damon Lindelof? Okay. You guys don't understand where I'm going with this. Let me finish. Kathy Kennedy is not the woman you think she is. She's not the most powerful woman in Hollywood. The Empress has no clothes. So when I hear you guys say, "Oh, if she's not happy, no one's happy. If she sees somebody else, no, you're reading her wrong. You're listening to the wrong people. You're listening to, I'm not gonna say it, the salty dude and others who don't know what they're talking about. She is not the most powerful woman in Hollywood and hasn't been, if ever. Okay? Gonna tell you something. When you look at the beginnings of some of my videos where I've got George sitting there listening to her talking about protecting the characters, she's not looking at him. It's not dead, Polly. Don't say that. And I know you're just trying to bait me to rant, but don't. Because I'm pissed right now. All right? Just don't. She can't look at him. Why? I have a theory, and I think it's a good one. When George gave him all the stuff for the new trilogy, Iger and Horn looked at it and said, "We're chicaning these. Go tell George." She knew when she was telling George she was going to protect the characters that none of that was true. And what they did was these two guys, they were above her, told her, "We're going to let you do whatever you want. Hire whoever you want." Okay. She was just doing what they asked her to do. Okay. Then they were happy with TFA because they made a lot of money on it. Let her do TLJ. And that's where all the problems started with her. Again, Hollywood knows she's incompetent. They know she's not who she says she is. They know that. They know that Disney's about ready to kick her into the ditch. So what are we doing with her not being happy because she knows everybody in Hollywood knows what an incompetent douchebag she is? Her husband's not happy because he's trying to protect his wife. He also wants her to be happy, and she's not happy. She never should have took the job at Lucasfilm. Never. Her legacy would be intact, by the way, had she not done it. Okay, think about that. The people working for her aren't happy because they now see people getting kicked to the curb. All right? Okay. The fans aren't happy. Disney can't be happy. They put $4.3 billion into Lucasfilm, expected within 5 years to see 10 or 12 billion, and they've got gross 6 billion. Again, when you read anything anyone in Hollywood says, they will never use net box office. They will use, or in net profit, what they can actually take home. They will use gross, so it makes it sound like they actually made money. And I'm getting yelled at by somebody and about to cut her off, so I'm gonna cut this off real quick. They didn't make $6 billion on Lucasfilm. They made about 2.5, maybe 3. That's what they profited. Okay. They can't be happy. So why is she putting herself and everybody else around her through this? Why is this Damon Lindelof thing going on? Is this merely her trying to protect her legacy still? Is Damon Lindelof seeing what's happening with all of his fellow J.J. Abrams alumni? Alex Kurtzman getting set to the side, the showrunners for the Rings of Power being basically only now being window dressing, apparently according to Chris Gore. Michelle Rejwan getting outright fucking fired. Is Lindelof trying to take a page out of Abrams' book and scam money out of Disney to make him a TV show? Is it Kennedy trying to get him to get Disney to say, okay, we'll do it? You know, it just, look, when you look at what Matt Bellany says, and you look at this, Disney's got a conundrum. You know, that's interesting, but I don't think so. I think that decision was made. Let's go back and look at what we know. Peter Rice gets fired. Before that, Susan Arnold puts it out there that the board fully supports Bob Chapek and whatever decision he makes. Key there. That is a key. Peter Rice walks in on a Monday afternoon to Bob Chapek's office. 7 minutes later, he's got a box in his arms and he's filling his office stuff and leaving under security. All right. The Kenobi numbers came in to Disney. All right, this is a theory, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Kennedy, on the 27th, suddenly finds herself, 27th of June, sipping port on the coast of Portugal somewhere. What's going on through all this? Bob Chapek, obviously within the company, among the top executives, it's been known, was probably announced inside that he had taken a 3-year contract. On the 3rd of July, it's public. Kennedy's in Spain, in Ibiza, Spain. Then she goes to Mallorca, then back to Spain, then back to Portugal, then to London, and then to Cornwall. 40 fucking days, like I said, 40 days. People don't take vacations like that. It was almost like a retreat. Why? Maybe she was having a heart-to-heart with Frank, saying they want me to leave. They want me to retire. She's been there 10 years. What else is there to do? Indy 5? So I agree with Cameron. They've already put all this together. They've already discussed it. There's probably an end date to her. And it's probably after Indy 5 comes out. But if there's an announcement coming, they should do it now. And there has to be a transition period too, in my opinion, okay? So then we get her coming back and being a Chinese vase at D23, okay? All right, a Chinese vase at D23. She didn't say a word. Why? Disney told her never to say another word about new Star Wars projects or anything else again. That should be a big deal to people. And it is to me because that tells me, Disney, we're done. We're done with you, bitch. We're done. So then we got the Lindelof thing. And I don't understand it. To me, look, it could be a combination of her being involved, all right, trying to save the sequel trilogy. It could be a combination of Lindelof trying to save his own goddamn reputation. He was the one behind Lost. Hey, Dave. It also could be they could be fan baiting. Just seeing who they can piss off. PR people in Hollywood are really fucked up. Let me explain. They don't care as long as it's politically correct speak. You're Nazi because you didn't like my movie. You're a racist because you don't think I'm a good enough actress. They'll run with that shit. They'll tell actors and actresses to do it. All right? It is not the companies doing it either. It's these individual PR firms that do it. It's not, it's guerrilla marketing and it's not. And part of me looked at this stuff. And I don't know if Polly's still here or Mike. Have you guys read the Hollywood Reporter article? I sent it to Cameron and he just laughed it off. So I look at it as being something that is part of that fan baiting marketing strategy, which, what a good idea. Piss your customers off so they don't want to go see what you're doing. Or so they more of them leave. Okay? It could be her trying to save face, but you know, my vision of her has changed a lot. Okay? The mythology built around her, when I think about Bob Iger and Alan Horn and her and other people that were there that were higher up, I think she's the weakest woman on the planet when it comes to this shit. I also think she's perfectly happy to indulge in her political bullshit as long as they let her. And they were happy too because Bob Iger thought he was going to be president. If Donald Trump can be president, I can be president. Even though my dog on his hind legs is taller than Bob Iger. Bob Iger suffers from Napoleon complex. You know, and yeah, these statements, even, you know, Kennedy's probably said them behind closed doors. She's a coward. Example, and then I'm going to go because my throat, my voice is going, and I got to take the dog for a walk. Why is she a coward? What time is it? She's a coward because she won't talk to the fans. Primeval visual sound, 40-day trips are very, very, very fucking rare, and with people with her position, okay? I'm sorry to tell you that. I'm sorry to break your bubble. Nothing in my research, going through everything about her and what she's been doing, said she's ever done it before, okay? All right? And the timing of it. You know, I'm sorry, don't go to the big channels. All right? Go, and when Cameron Pasha's talking about this stuff, listen to what he has to say. Listen to what Mike has to say. Listen to what Polly has to say. You don't necessarily, oh, he is, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it was there and I was, you know, I'm sorry. So I really think it's time for Frank to tell her it's time to quit. It's time to make the announcement. It's time to tell everybody, I had a good run, but there you go. Okay. I had a good run, but I'd like to pursue other opportunities. And I think it would be the humane thing for him to do. Okay? I really, really do. I think it would be the humane thing for him if he loves her, and apparently he does. And I personally like Frank a lot. I think he's a cool dude. And from what Cameron has said and other people, Kathy's a perfectly nice person too. Again, which goes against the raging bitch like Governor Hochul up in New York or the governor of Michigan. Raging fucking bitches. Okay, I know that, Primeval. I'm sorry. She's not like that. All right, I don't see her like that. I think, again, people have this idea of her that they built up probably because, Hillary Clinton being caught on video screaming at people, and you've got Governor Hochul and that bitch up in Michigan, and Nancy Pelosi. Kathy Kennedy isn't like that. All right, she's never, ever, ever been like that because I think she's scared shitless. I think the only time you'd ever see her actually explode is probably behind closed doors. Maybe she exploded over Jon Favreau doing something behind closed doors. But this is the question that she needs to ask herself. Is she doing this? Is she doing this for her own ego's sake? And if so, is it worth it? And her husband's got to be the one to take her aside and talk to her. She's got the Kennedy Marshall Company. I mean, she'd be fine, okay? Tell us you're leaving. Here's your parade. Here's your float. Golden parachute. Get the fuck out of here, okay? Here's the new person. Now what do you got? All right? I actually, in doing a lot of thinking, feel sorry for her. Because she got in over her head. Okay, this is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.